They're big time defensively when they want to amp it up. And they're significantly better at rebounding in basketball, which is going to grasp additional opportunities for their offense, and it's going to limit what Golden State does if they're missing shots. So I don't think that it's a clear favorite by any stretch of the imagination. I could easily see this being a 7-game series back in Houston, as far as I'm concerned, and us finding out whether or not Jalen Green and those brothers are up for it. But I know Ime Udoka is ready. And I think that they've got the talent, the depth, the defense, the size, the rebounding prowess to make this a very, very interesting series. They can beat the Golden State Warriors. I just think that Golden State should be the favorites, but not clear cut.
Yeah, minus 200 is ridiculous. I agree with Steve 100%, but I'll tell you, bet against Curry at your own risk. The Vegas is not stupid. The American sports fan, and I'll include myself there, I'm not betting against Curry against the Houston Rockets. You want to tell me I bet him against Luka? Fair. You want me to tell him I bet against him if they played the Clippers or the Nuggets? Fair. But I'm not betting him against Houston. And I'll tell you right. Think about this for a second. The two best players on the court when this series begins play on what team? They play on Golden State. They have the two best players. So if you bet Houston, you on home court doesn't mean anything. It's not like Houston is some snake pit. He has won games on the road his whole career. He won an NBA championship in Boston. 2 years ago, he won Game 7 in Sacramento, which is a huge rivalry. This isn't. He's won big games. He won a Game 7 in Houston a long time ago with Durant. There is no way that I am betting against Curry in this series when he's got Butler sitting there. He's got a team that he's up against that's very inexperienced. Everybody knows they have potential. They got a lot of nice pieces, and he's a big coach. Nobody's arguing that. But that's Kerr. Kerr's no slouch. He knows what he's doing. Houston's going to use this as motivation. Hey, guys, the world doesn't think we can be competitive. We're the 2 seed. Let's show them. They use that, and that will help them. But in push comes to shove, you find me a basketball fan in America who likes to bet, who's going to sit there and say, you know what, I'll bet the Rockets. No way. You can't bet against Curry and Butler in this series. Now, listen, it might be a 7-game series. It might go down to the fourth quarter in Game 7. 108, 6 minutes left, Game 7. You're going to bet on Curry or Butler, or you're going to bet on Houston? I'm betting Golden State. I'll take them. It may be in 7 games. Windy?
I feel like Amen Thompson is going to become a much bigger, higher known name in the next 2 weeks because that's the guy who the Rockets are going to put on Steph Curry when it matters.
110 shooting.
And this guy is the NBA athletes, the guys who play in the NBA are top 1% athletes. Amen Thompson is the top 1% of the 1%.
There you go.
This guy is an absolute freakazoid athlete, and he is relentless defensively. That is going to be a big part of this series, is the Amen Thompson on Steph Curry matchup. I also think that the Rockets have really good depth. They've built out this team through the draft. You are correct, Mad Dog, that the top 2, if you were drafting a team, you would take probably Steph and Butler as the 2 first guys. I agree. And typically when you're evaluating a series, when that's the case, if a team's got the top 2 or 3 of the top 5, you're going to lean towards that team, which is probably one of the reasons why the Warriors are the favorites here. But the Rockets have built this team out through the draft and through free agency and through trade. They have prepared to win a playoff series with their wing depth. So I respect the Rockets a lot. I will tell you this. If you're a Rockets fan, you've watched Steph come in there and kill your season repeatedly. Those Chris Paul, James Harden teams, they went in there and dominated. These players don't have that baggage. This Warriors has been a sort of a roller coaster for the last, 10 days. They played so well to get in position. Then they lose 3 of the last 5 games, including that home loss to the Spurs. That was a major setback there. That ends up, basically putting them into a winner, being the play-in for the last game of the season. They lose to the Clippers. Play-in game comes right down to the final seconds. So where do you think that the Warriors are after playing so great for 6 to 7 weeks and then kind of maybe not looking as great over the last 7 to 10 days?
They're definitely not playing their best basketball entering the playoffs. They're trying to kind of rediscover that. The last time they probably played at their best, they were in a 4-game and 6-night stretch where they won at Memphis, beat the Lakers, came back on a back-to-back, beat the Nuggets at home, but then were soundly beaten by the Houston Rockets in a game where the Rockets had just decided, we're going to take it to you guys physically and beat you guys up and beat up Steph. And what you saw was Steph have like a 3-point outing. It was one of his worst games of the season. But they were, not to make excuses for them, but they were definitely tired and exhausted. They had played high-level playoff type of games, and they had just come off like a 2-week stretch on the road. Now, I think what Steve Kerr is doing is, in these last 2 games, which were the 2 biggest games of the year for the Warriors, he's decided to shorten his rotation. Jonathan Kuminga has logged DNPs, basically going with guys that he was like, we won without Kuminga when he was out. This is what was working. Let's get back to that. That doesn't mean that Kuminga, we're not going to see Kuminga in this series. Kuminga, I think, averaged like 23 points and like nearly 7 rebounds against Houston this season. But really, I think they needed this time off. Steve Kerr finally admitted it after the playing game that we desperately needed these 4 days off to kind of get Steph's thumb right, to get Jimmy right. He took that shot to the quad from Kawhi. Draymond is banged up. He's been playing now undersized center for like the last 2+ months. But they certainly feel, Wendy, as you know, in a 7-game series, they feel they can beat anyone. I feel like they can think that their championship experience is going to come into play here against Houston, which really doesn't have a ton of like crazy playoff experience. And so I think they like this matchup. But if you look at it, Houston has all the young, athletic, long wings, tough defenders to throw at Steph and Jimmy. They can rebound inside with Şengün and Steven Adams. Draymond has had difficulties at times going up against these bigger centers, trying to rebound, and certainly turnovers is probably going to be maybe number 1 on Steve Kerr's list, because they had 20 turnovers last time they faced Houston, and that absolutely killed them.
As great of a player as Steph is, as amazing as he is, all the records, all the accomplishments, he just turns it over, man. He just turns the freaking thing over. He for all the awards and honors and everything that he has brought Steve Kerr, Steve gets down to his last nerve on turnovers. You know, and by the way, like in the gold medal game in France, before he had those incredible array of 3-pointers, he had a couple of horrendous turnovers. I mean, like for some reason, and the Warriors go as Steph goes, for some reason, man, he just wants to turn that ball over sometimes, but it's neither here nor there. So, Mike, Houston is probably annoying to them, not favored by the sports books in this series. I think it's just the second time in 30 years. And I think it's pretty close, and maybe it will swap around, but, and look, there's some guys on the Rockets who are not afraid to, put their chests out. So what do you think the Rockets are feeling about? Because by the way, them getting the number 2 seed is one of the great accomplishments of the regular season. Now, granted, the regular season accomplishments only going to matter so much. They earned this number 2 seed. All these teams beating up on each other. They earned their way to the number 2 seed, despite having some injury challenges throughout the middle of the season. People